Hello and welcome. My name is Retro, and today I will be covering Dagath as she just got a new augment and she is now really powerful. She was already a really good Warframe, but now she's really powerful. First of all, I have a very quick thing I would like to say. Dagath is the 4th newest Warframe in the game. Corvex is the 3rd newest Warframe in the game, both of which now have augments. They both got augments in this update. Caliban came out 2 years ago and still doesn't have an augment. The Caliban does exist. I know most of the community has forgotten about him, but he does exist, and I am of the strong belief that the only thing that Caliban needs to make his kit much better is a few really good augments. I also thought the same thing about Sevagoth, and now look at Sevagoth. I think I've proven right about that one. So please give him some augments already. Seriously, it's like the same thing happened with Sevagoth. You took ages to give him an augment. And now Dagath is great. Can we please get an augment for Caliban already? Anyway, moving on to Dagath's abilities. Dagath's passive will have a 35% chance each time you pick up a health or an energy orb to increase the efficiency of said health or energy orbs by 200%. This means that if you pick up a standard health orb that gives you 50 health, you'll actually get 200 health. Or if you pick up a standard energy orb which gives you 25, you'll actually get 100 energy. Basically, they're the Arcanes, Arcane Energize, and also that one Arcane, which I don't remember the name of, which gives you health. That works the same as Arcane Energize, but gives you health instead, and works on health orbs. However, unlike those Arcanes, Dagath's passive doesn't have a cooldown, so you can technically have the passive proc on literally every single health / energy orb you pick up. However, it only has a 35% chance, so that is unlikely. Dagath's second ability. Yes, I do want to cover Dagath's second ability first, because all of Dagath's kit does kind of revolve around her second ability. Each one of her abilities have some form of synergy with the second, and it's kind of the staple of her whole kit, so I want to cover it first for that reason. Dagath's second ability is called Doom. Dagath inflicts enemies with the Doom debuff, and while also doing a bit of viral damage to all enemies in front of her with a 40-degree angle. The angle is not affected by mods, however the range of the ability is. The Doom debuff itself has different effects and different synergies depending on which other ability you're using with it. However, by itself, if you attack an enemy inflicted with Doom, it will summon a Phantom Wraith. The Phantom Wraith will store 35% of all the damage you deal to enemies inflicted by Doom, and after 2 seconds, after that 2 seconds, or if it has stored enough damage for it to be lethal to the enemies, it will then deal the stored damage to the enemies dealing true damage, which ignores enemy armor. Dagath's first ability is called Weird Sight. It has 2 phases, kind of. The first phase will spawn 6 sickles that will spin around her, kind of like Yoreli's third ability. And the sickles will do viral damage. After 1 second, however, the sickles will automatically target enemies and fly out towards them, kind of like Pulavo's second ability. The sickles do have innate punch through, so they can go through enemies and then hit any enemies behind them. However, they will only target the initial enemy, so it's completely random if they hit enemies behind them or not. And the sickles will do increased viral damage when they launch out to hit enemies. Enemies hit by the sickles, whether it be during the first phase or the second phase of the ability, will both have the viral status effect applied to them per hit for each sickle that hits them, and their movement speed will be slowed by 45%. The slow does cap out at a 95% with 272 power strength. Hitting enemies inflicted by Doom with this ability will not only trigger the Phantom Wraith effect from Doom, but it will also refresh the duration of Doom and then spread the Doom effect to all other enemies within a 15-meter range. Dagath's third ability, upon casting, will give Dagath a crit damage buff that is additive with weapon mods. The ability doesn't have a duration, nor does it drain any energy, meaning the ability will stay active forever unless interrupted by things like Violence's ability to turn off your abilities, Nullifies, falling off the map, or of course taking lethal damage. Upon taking lethal damage, however, the ability will give you a health gate. making Dagath have a 100% dodge chance buff, meaning she's completely invulnerable to all forms of damage, nor will she actually be shot with any bullets. And each time you kill an enemy, it will have a guaranteed health orb drop. You only get the drop chance buff and the guaranteed health orb drop during the Spectral Spirit state, which only happens when you take lethal damage. The Spectral Spirit state will only last for 10 seconds, and it does scale off ability duration. After that 10 seconds though, the ability will turn off, and it will have a 25-second cooldown, which is unaffected by any mods. However, this ability is the ability that was given Dagath's first Augment. With the Augment, when you cast the ability, you will immediately go into the Spectral Spirit state. In the state, you'll gain all the normal benefits of Grave Spirit. You'll get the crit damage buff, along with the guaranteed health orb drop and the 100% dodge chance buff that you get from Spectral Spirit. In addition to that, however, the Augment will also make it that each time you hit an enemy, you will apply Doom onto them. And the Augment also makes it that each time you kill an enemy while the ability is deactivated, you will lower the cooldown on the ability by 1 second. The amount of which the cooldown gets lowered by per kill is not affected by any mods. The ability, with or without the Augment, will double the crit damage it does if it attacks enemies that are applied by Doom. So if the crit damage buff is 50%, if you attack which is what it is at base power strength, if you attack an enemy inflicted by Doom, it will then go up to 100%. In addition to this, attacking enemies inflicted by Doom while Grave Spirit is activated will double the damage that the Phantom Wraiths from Doom do. Dagath's fourth ability is Rakil's Cavalry. Dagath will summon 4 caves in front of her that will then run off into the direct distance in front of her for a set duration. Increasing the duration of your Dagath will therefore also increase how far they run, technically increasing the range of the ability. The number of horses isn't affected by any mods, and the range of the ability in terms of how wide it is also isn't affected by ability mods, as it's just set to the 5 horses that you summon by default. The ability will do quite a lot of viral damage, and beyond that it doesn't do much. However, attacking enemies that are inflicted by Doom will have the ability Defense Strip, that's shield and armor, enemies permanently by 35%. And the defense strip will trigger on each damage instance that the ability causes, as the ability actually breaks up its damage into different damage instances. This effectively means that you don't need 100% ability strength in order to fully This effectively means you don't need 100% defense strip in order on the ability to actually fully strip enemies. Basically, this ability is used to just nuke enemies. Since the Augment for Grave Spirit doesn't care where the damage you're doing to enemies comes from for when it applies Doom onto enemies, abilities can apply Doom, including her 4th ability. So her 4th ability can apply Doom by itself and then fully defense strip enemies because Doom is applied to them. It also means that in addition to this, when the ability is first casted, when you enter the Spectral Spirit state, you actually do send out an AoE that knocks back enemies. That itself can also apply Doom, and of course, so can Dagath's first ability will also be able to apply Doom while the 3rd ability is activated, as well as Helminth abilities. I know that somebody told me that Jade's new Helminth will also apply Doom, as it does do damage to enemies a tiny bit. So any source of damage on enemies, whether it be from abilities or weapons, will have the 3rd ability while it's active, of course, apply Doom. So basically the build I have for you today is an ability DPS build using her 4th ability to wipe out enemies. I have Helminth off Doom, as I will be using the Augment for her 3rd ability to apply Doom for me while also making myself invincible. I actually wanted to Helminth off Weird Scythe just in case I wanted to apply Doom during the cooldown of the 3rd ability, but for a different build I needed Weird Scythe, and my different build also uses Raw, so the best option was to just get rid of Doom because I can apply Doom with her 3rd anyway. And also I noticed that thanks to the changes to armor, her 4th ability is actually very capable of killing enemies now even without the defense strip that it gets when it attacks enemies with Doom, and because of that it kills quite fast and gets rid of the cooldown from Grave Spirit quite quickly, and will of course allow you to reactivate the ability. The ability is obviously a lot better to use because it not only will defense strip enemies and also apply that Phantom Wraith effect, making her 4th ability do a lot more damage. I chose Raw as the Helminth because Raw doesn't just affect weapon DPS, but it also affects ability DPS. It increases the damage from abilities, and this increased damage is actually multiplicative with power strength. For the Archon Shards, I just have one single Amber casting shard. She does feel a bit sluggish without some casting speed, and Raw also kind of wants casting speed. It is a Tower Forged one. If you don't have any Tower Forged ones, I'd recommend using 2 Amber Shards, but you can now upgrade 3 Amber Shards into a Tower Forged anyway, so it's probably better to just run 1 Tower Forged Amber Shard. For the Dagath build, I am using Brief Respite. That's just because she is the only Warframe that I know of, or can think of at least, that has the basic Deneric aura polarity, which is what Brief Respite is, and there's not a lot of auras that run that. This is really good previously when she wasn't just invincible the entire mission, but Brief Respite isn't needed as much. So if you wanted to form her and put a different aura mod on, of course that's up to you. Prime Sure-Footed isn't as needed in this build as we won't be using any weapons and we will be killing pretty consecutively, and we will actually be invisible for the entire mission, mostly because of the companion we're using. So Xmas units won't be activating their abilities either and won't be knocking us back that way. So Prime Sure-Footed actually isn't as necessary, but if you wanted the best setup or if you were doing endurance, I would definitely recommend Prime Sure-Footed because a tiny slip up in endurance can get you killed. For the generic build, we do have Rolling Guard. That's just in case my invisibility breaks and I need to have some extra survivability during my cooldown of my third ability. I will explain the invisibility when we get to our companion. Then we do, of course, have Spectral Spirit, which is her Augment. And then beyond that, we just have Equilibrium, which will supply us with all the energy we need, as because while we're in Spectral Spirit, we have a 100% drop chance on each 100% health orb drop chance on each kill. So Equilibrium will be giving us a lot of energy. Blind Rage, and Umbral Intensify for power strength, along with Primed Flow for that big energy pool, and of course Primed Continuity for some ability duration with Augur Message. The ability will last longer the more duration you have, which is why I also have Multi-Efficiency, which will increase my duration a further by 36% to increase the duration of the ability even more. And then finally we do have Arcane Steadfast. I did say that we have no energy issues, and that is true, which is why I don't feel the need to run Arcane Energize, but Steadfast just makes that even more true, as on ability cast, we have a 14% chance for the next 3 abilities to not cost any energy. Obviously, this is a higher percent chance at a max rank one. It would be 20% at a max rank one, which I don't have. But it makes it so you get a lot of free ability casts, actually, which makes this setup just kind of ridiculous. I kind of went a bit overboard with this setup, actually. For the companion, and this is where the overboard comes in, we are using the Horus Kubero, because... Kubero, because the Horus Kubero has the... I did the same thing in my Protean build. This has the Stalk ability, which will cloak your Warframe for whenever there are enemies within 24 meters. The invisibility from Stalk, it also works on the Kubero as well. The invisibility from this ability does last forever. However, using your weapons will break the invisibility. Using your abilities does not. So we can basically just kill and wipe out enemies with Dagath's fourth ability without ever actually breaking the invisibility. The rest of this build is mostly for other synergies that I have with certain other Warframes. The mech mod set is there for that reason. It doesn't actually do anything on this build. However, the mech mod set do actually give some pretty decent buffs for the Kubero without considering its second mod set effect. Hunter Synergy is also there for some other setups I have. You don't need to worry about that for this setup. And then we have Tendon Bond for some melee combo, again for other setups, not this setup. Momentumous Bond will increase the survivability of the Kubero, as each time you kill an Xmas unit, the recovery time will be lowered by 18 seconds. Fetch, obviously a must-have. Tenacious Bond, again for different setups, not this one. Calculator Redirection and Hasten Deflection is for some more survivability for it. So for this build, you only really need Stalk, these two mods, and Momentumous Bond and Fetch. All these other mods are used for different builds I have, so you could replace them with something else you have. I'm just lazy, so I recycle companion builds on multiple different Warframes. For the utility weapons, I am using the Tenet Galaxia. That's because of its ability to freeze enemies with Shivering Contagion, and also to make good use of the primary Frostbite Arcane, and also for its Augment, which I don't have yet. But when I do have the Augment, it will make enemies drop energy orbs really consistently. Overall though, you can run whatever weapon you want. I would just recommend running a rifle for your primary slot, not a shotgun, because that allows you to mod on Amalgam Serration, which I have, which will increase your movement speed. For the secondaries, I am running Epitaph because it is a fantastic primer, but again, it doesn't matter what secondary you're running. However, I do strongly recommend putting both Augur mods on it for some extra survivability when it comes to shield gating, and also Amalgam Barrel Diffusion for the extra rolling speed to give you that extra bit of utility. Paretos, however, does matter because of its evolutions. Its second evolution gives you sprint speed and slide, and its fourth evolution, gives you parkour velocity, making it a very, very good weapon when it comes to utility. And then for the focus schools, you can honestly run whatever you want. Nemeron, except for Nemeron, as this is not a melee build, and although Nemeron is easily the best for melee builds, outside of melee builds, it's never needed. I run Xenorex, so I don't have to drop any energy or energy pads to get enough energy to set up my damage rotation at the beginning of a mission. But feel free to run any other focus school you want. Matarai is good for casting speed and extra ability strength. Yunaru is good for knockback immunity. You could use that with instead of Prime Sure-Footed. It also allows you to have armor strip. And Vazarin is for some extra survivability, and of course Xenoric is for energy regen, energy economy, and power strength. So it's up to you which one of these four you'd want to run. Anyway, that is all from me. That is the build I have for you today. It is a very fun build, and it honestly fixes a lot of issues I had with Dagath's kit. And like I said, she was always a pretty good Warframe, but now she's just an unstoppable killing machine that's just invisible and invincible at the same time with this build specifically. And it's just insane. And the amount of health orbs you drop and energy economy you have now, it's just a very good setup. If you like this video, please do consider checking out some of my other content I do, like my Twitch channel. I have been streaming more often, so if you want to catch me streaming, where I do a lot of my build testing and even do some of my gameplay footage that I have in these videos in those Twitch streams as well, do check that out. I also stream some other games. I also have a clan Discord. We do some fashion frame contests, giveaways. You can join to just hang out with the community. You don't have to join the clan, but you're also more than welcome to join the clan if you wish. And I have some other stuff here and there, like a Let's Play YouTube channel, a TikTok, and Instagram, all that other fun stuff. So check out my other content if you're interested, and until next time, bye-bye!